Psalm 7 and Psalm 8 of the Matins of Tuesday. Domine ne in furore tuo aguas me. Rebuke me not, O Lord, in thy indignation. In London recently, during Lent, there was a group of youngsters came in every now and again, youngsters 20s, 30s, for an evening conference and talk. And I went through the seven penitential psalms with them, and they felt the wind down their neck. That is to say that they were realizing, like with the exercise of St. Ignatius, they were realizing that they aren't quite such good boys and girls as they thought. When they see how we went through all 7 of the penitential psalms, and these show how a soul stands really before God. And we very easily write ourselves a blank check for being good guys. We very easily think that we are good guys, but then they came across these psalms, and I think they were feeling a little small and or a little frightened. They thought, oh. The Catholic life perhaps is not as easy as I thought, or not as comfortable as I thought. Rebuke me not, O Lord, in thy indignation, nor chastise me in thy wrath. Wrath and indignation, yep. The Lord is not just a sweetie pie. For thy arrows are fastened in me, and thy hand hath been strong upon me. There is no health in my flesh because of thy wrath. There is no peace for my bones because of my sins. What the problem today, people have lost all sense of God, and they've lost, with the loss of God, they lose the sense of sin. People today don't think they're sinners. They write themselves a blank check for being good guys. They all think they're good guys. They can't understand anybody falling into hell. They can't understand a church which is serious about sin and hell, and they create a church which forgets about sin and hell. It's because it corresponds to their godless way of life. Everything's sweet, everything's nice, and everybody's going to be saved when they die. Illusion. Thy iniquities are gone, my iniquities are gone over my head, and as a heavy burden are become heavy upon me. My sores are putrefied and corrupted because of my foolishness. He's seeing himself as he is. Obviously, this is how the saints all see themselves before God, as appalling sinners. And we think, well, I am become miserable and am bowed down even to the end. I walk sorrowful all the day long. For my loins are filled with illusions, and there is no health in my flesh. The Hebrews are a very concrete people. They're not abstract thinkers like the Greeks. They have great thoughts inspired by God. The Hebrews were the people of God, but they express themselves very concretely. I'm become miserable. My loins are filled with illusions. There is no health in my flesh. I am afflicted and humbled exceedingly. I roared with the groaning of my heart. Lord, all my desire is before thee, and my groaning is not hidden from thee. The Lord sonde les reins. Literally, how do you say it in English? Plumbs, searches. We don't say the kidneys, or that's what it is. What do we say in English? The Lord searches the loins, maybe, yes. Searches the... Yes, I think we use the French word, R-E-I-N-S, which of course doesn't mean what you hold a horse with, it's the kidneys. The Lord searches the kidneys, meaning that's a very concrete way of saying that God knows us through and through, right to the bottom. To the bottom. The Hebrews don't quite go that far, but the kidneys are not far off. The Lord searches us through and through. My heart is troubled, my strength has left me, and the light of my eyes itself is not with me. The psalmist is in the middle of the first week of the exercises, big time. But it's a very true experience. to see oneself, to begin to see oneself, even just to begin to see oneself as God sees us. Oh. My friends and neighbours have drawn near and stood against me. And they that were near me stood afar off. And they that sought my soul used violence. And they that sought evils to me spoke vain things and studied deceits all the day long. But I, as a deaf man, heard not, and as a dumb man not opening his mouth. And I became as a man that heareth not, and that hath no reproofs in his mouth. I was reduced to... I'm torn up. I'm as Elvis, like Elvis Presley. I'm all shook up inside. My friends are no help. My enemies are raging against me. Oh boy, where can he turn? 4:16. In thee, O Lord, have I hoped. Thou wilt hear me, O Lord my God. His friends won't hear him. For I am ready for scourges, and my sorrow is continually before me. For I will declare my iniquity, and I will think for my sin. I will recognize that I'm a sinner. I will declare my iniquity. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to disguise my sinfulness from myself. I'm going to recognize it. That's the first week of the exercises. A good confession at the end of the first week. I will declare my iniquity, and I will think for my sin. But my enemies live and are stronger than I, and they that hate me wrongfully are multiplied. Today it looks as though the friends of God may become the remnant of a remnant. My enemies are active. They're stronger than I am. They that hate me wrongfully are multiplied. They that render evil for good have detracted me because I followed goodness. I'm trying to do what's right, and it just makes me enemies. Forsake me not, O Lord my God, do not thou depart from me. Attend unto my help, O Lord, the God of my salvation. Intendi adiutorium meum, Domine Deus salutis mei. The Latin, it's easy to skate over. The English, it's not so easy to skate over. Very useful exercise to remind ourselves what is there in the Latin. And you turn to any of the Psalms. The Psalms are God himself inspiring David with the prayer that God wants. This is the school of prayer. This is how to pray. The Psalms are how to pray. And they're not just sugar and spice and all things nice. They're full of the enemies of God. They're full of the wrath of God. They're full of the wretchedness of the sinner, but they're also full of a great confidence in God, a great trust in God, and a great turning to God and beseeching of God that he step in, both to rescue me from my sins and to rescue the situation around me, which without him is desperate. See how it is today.